So now, did we lose the guests? Were they still participants? Where's Helen?
I don't see him.
Okay, so go back into attendees so you can keep an eye on that. And, what's the matter? Sorry, guys, we're struggling with technology more so than usual. And I'm letting Howard know.
Bill, have you figured out your connectivity issue at home?
Click, see where it says
Better.
attendees?
It's better? Okay.
Keep that.
2 computers later, it's better.
All right.
peaceful.
And then we got
Okay.
And when
cable
Howard
company rewired
joins.
the house.
They did, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're probably flying.
Yeah.
If he's connected directly to a landline, yes. But the Wi-Fi,
Can you lock that computer back
We
in?
were losing
Did you need a
35%
meeting
of
on you
our
or something?
internet between
Did you, were you on
homes and
Zoom?
the house.
oh, well, then there was an
Signed in
outside
through
connection.
an email,
Yeah,
through
it was
Gmail.
actually- You put a new line in and the,
At the street,
it comes, it's not technically router.
Sorry.
It's,
the modem, Wi-Fi router,
It's where it comes into the house, it's like a junction box.
the vault.
Replace that.
Good.
They
It's
replaced
just
the
at the bottom
router,
where
they
it says
replaced the
stop
modem,
video.
Got it.
they rewired.
Am I right here?
the
Nope,
pole,
nope,
and that
get
helped.
out of that setting.
And
Close
then I
that.
got,
This.
they gave me a new computer, that didn't work, and they gave me another computer.
Wow.
So what happened, as I said, we had equivalent of like, say, generation 3 computers.
Okay.
A year ago, mine was right,
Uh-huh.
so they gave me.
This is from work.
It was just.
Yeah.
So they gave me a generation 5, they jumped up to.
Okay.
4 people in the firm had like 2,000.
Have the iPhone.
Twice they did these huge upgrades. Stuff.
Uh-huh.
They tested with the old G3s, they did testing.
And is this one, is this the official one
Our
or
own
is this
IT
the?
department.
It's just a guest.
So what do we get?
Relatively, it was a year-old,
Yeah.
year-old laptop twice.
Wow. So you have a VPN then that you work
Well, now we have a Meraki device. so
Okay.
that's the VPN.
That's important because that's probably
So now.
a big time save.
They're rolling out to everybody. They're going to generate. It's not working.
Yeah.
I was getting, I still have a lot of.
This is just.
last 2 years.
How many people work remotely?
Right now, it's the
The
entire.
entire, oh my God.
So we have.
Poor IT people.
Attorneys, between all the staff.
Locally or where's she
From,
based?
Yeah, just,
you know,
just.
New England,
Yeah, all over it,
the
yeah.
entire-
Jersey this year. It's not just
Anybody,
South
that's a huge company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Very good for her.
So now.
I know she always loved it.
Yeah.
Again, that's great.
All the people with a brand new computer, when kids have, I have not.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God.
So.
I understand.
The generation 6 and
I don't
the
know.
VPN just, I had to keep it.
What's showing the room,
Now we're
but it's
getting
not.
Meraki devices. So.
That should bypass the issue.
So I go through ours and go right into.
We need the visual.
Right.
But
And
this
so I
not
have to
giving.
do like.
I don't know
otherwise, if
why.
look in
Maybe
here,
take,
Mhm.
maybe make your face.
it's
visible
on
again.
my email,
It would be,
I gotta use one of these,
We're in gallery, so this is
Yeah.
you.
That changes everything.
This-
yeah.
and-
I guess what I'm wondering is why is it,
And VPN with it just didn't work on it.
guys, I'm sorry.
the only time that, well, obviously for your own work, that's,
Post-COVID
that
problems.
process is, required by your firm. But when you're using, Zoom or you're not
I don't
going
know.
through the VPN.
Well, actually it was because everything, my computer.
It would if you don't separate it. You could segregate.
This is
Which is
me
what that
on Zoom.
device does.
Just-
But if I didn't use the Meraki device, I think I just turned on my laptop.
Just go into
Yeah.
your
I
camera,
was
right?
still connected.
Like your regular camera.
Correct.
Which is-
Right.
I was gonna get emails.
Correct, because that's connected to your work.
Into the internet.
I know, I
Correct.
know I can't open it.
But I can't get confirmed documents. unless
Here's
they're
the
on my hard
camera
drive.
case.
Correct. Right.
Emails, at least that email. confirmed.
Right. So everything then is in your cloud for your firm now. which segregates from your
Can you
laptop or
switch
whatever
the
device you're
video?
using, the data. So whatever's,
You know what, I'm just,
whatever
I'm
programs you
just
have
gonna
on
miss.
your laptop, if you're connecting directly to
And
Wi-Fi,
I'm gonna move.
use those smoothly.
So it's nice though. It's the same as if.
I'm moving.
Well, if we sat down in any of our offices, log on, immediately into the phone system.
Yeah.
Log
If you
device
sit over
in my
there,
house, it's
You're
the
gonna
same
be
way
on
now.
camera.
You know what?
I'm not gonna,
In
I'm
essence,
gonna move.
it is turned my home
Into an
into.
I
think that'll help the picture.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry, yeah.
pretty cool. Oh, that's okay.
Maybe the one down the
So
end.
you're gonna sit there, so you can
Okay.
look at Howard.
But honestly, so bring Howard,
that,
bring
this is
Howard
Howard?
in.
that we're looking at?
No, bring Howard in. Okay. I think we need a motion to come out of, are we?
We're
recording?
back.
I made the
We're
motion.
back.
We're back. We do
Okay.
need a motion to come out of
So
executive
moved.
session.
Motion.
On the vote, Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki, Mr. Trotta, Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. We are back to your resolutions.
Okay, so we have two resolutions on the agenda. The first is an amending resolution number 1 to add Lenore. It's the appointment of officers to add Lenore. What was the phrase? And also to,
We changed two different resolutions
nope, it's one. It's
for
this.
exempt versus not.
No, that's the
Yeah.
second one.
No, that's the same one. It's this one also because it's one.
Wait a second. This is for the compensation.
This is.
She should
This is
not be
one.
in, she should not be in this. She's not.
Yeah, totally put it on. We always announce all the board
Okay,
members and
okay,
all in one
Okay,
resolution.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So the first part, so you're amending section 2 to add Lenore Paprocki as a new member of the corporation. And you're amending section 3 to reflect that exempt employees, the CEO and the CFO will be paid a monthly stipend. All non-exempt employees will be paid on an hourly basis. So
Motion, second. Questions? Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. Motion carried.
The next, thank you. The next resolution is an amendment to our compensation policy to change the language to reflect our new compensation policy.
Motion,
moved.
second.
Second.
On vote, Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Ms. Paprocki?
Yes.
Mr. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes. Motion carries.
And also, I just want us to amend the resolution that lists our committee members to add Lenore Paprocki.
Second.
The vote, Gary,
Yes.
Lenore,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes.
The last item on the agenda is a request I have to move our July meeting from July 21st to July 28th. Oh, and we should talk about time because we've been all over the place on time.
9 a.m. like this one? I will not be able to make that one.
No, Felix doesn't like early meetings, but
Is this going to
he's not here.
be the same meeting time for perpetuity here, or are we
July 28th.
just
you said?
changing the date?
I was just asking if we could change the date.
Yeah.
But we should talk about time because we've been bouncing around on time.
July 28th.
Yes.
I'll let it go.
I personally won't be available that day. so-
Thoughts on time?
I can do it. Time?
9 o'clock, all right?
Sure.
All right, we will set it to 28th at 9 o'clock then.
Okay. And we're gonna, it sounds like.
Unless for some reason that, well, we'll still have a forum.
And if we, are we moving our meetings to 9 a.m. in perpetuity? Because we've been all over the place.
Unless there's an objection, I like to see them at 9 o'clock. I'd have them at 7 o'clock, but nobody else would show up.
Yeah.
I would.
We used to have them at 7.
Oh, no, we used to have them at
7:30.
7:45.
Yeah.
Breakfast is 7.
Have some mercy on council if he's driving down.
Well, he usually comes down the night before, so he's all right. But we'll leave it at 9 o'clock for now.
Okay,
Anything else, Lou? Okay.
I got nothing. Laura, you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Second?
Second,
Gary?
yes.
Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Mr. Braun votes yes, we are closed. Okay.
I think we should do the stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. All right, it is now 9:48. We have a quorum for the Industrial Development Agency. Our minutes of May 19th have been circulated to everyone. I have motion to accept those.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions, clarifications, corrections, whatever? No. Gary?
Yes.
Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty?
Yep.
Mr. Braun votes yes. And our Finance Committee meeting minutes of the same date.
We should wait until the next meeting. Yep.
That's-
Okay, that,
We had that
we
conversation.
had that conversation and I just thought of it.
That's off the table.
Okay.
All right, Lori, you're on.
Okay, included in your package is the results for April, year-to-date, the profit and loss statement, including the budget. I just want to mention for the IDA for the month of April, we did have one closing, 2 application fees, 1 termination fee, total of $217,000. Our expenses are our normal recurring payroll, rent, and other expenditures. So for the net month, it was $132,000. Year to date, our net income is $723,000. And we're ahead of budget at this point, but keep in mind, all of our revenue for all of our pilots comes in the early months, so it kind of gets spread out over time. Are there any questions on the profit and loss budget versus actual April?
Motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Gary,
Yes.
Lenore,
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty?
Yep.
Fred votes yes. Report is accepted.
Okay.
Do you want to just talk about pilots?
Sure. So one of the pilots, all the pilot payments were made and received except for one, which we did subsequently receive with interest and penalties, and we'll be dispersing it today, most likely. And then everything is done for pilots as far as for this year, 2021.
And everything has been dispersed within the 30-day requirement?
Everything has been dispersed as soon as the checks clear within 30 days.
Yes.
So we're always keeping keen eye on that, on top of it.
Any other questions for Lori? If none, get out of here.
Okay.
Thank you, Lori.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item that we have on the agenda are some applications. I think we have representatives here for each project, so I think I'm just going to take them in order. Yeah, back a page, that's why they're not in order. But I don't see, actually, Dan or Eric are not here. Okay, so let me, I'm sorry.
No.
No,
No,
a different Eric,
other
sorry,
Eric.
Eric.
Sorry.
There is more than one.
So I'm gonna just take that one out of order, just for right now. The next item on the agenda, if I'm taking them out of order, is Port Development, and Eric Russo is here. Just to give you guys a little overview, this is a redevelopment of 1 North Country Road in Port Jefferson. This is the former Lobster House restaurant in Port Jeff, Upper Port. So Mr. Guido is the applicant. We've done 2 projects with him previously, Rail Realty and Brooks Partners. Rail Realty is up and running, people are living there, and Brooks Partners is getting close to completion. So they propose replacing the roughly 4,400 square foot Lobster House and an 1,800 square foot former florist shop with a mixed use, about 4,800 square foot building. It's going to have 36 apartments and commercial, 31 1-bedroom, 4 2-bedroom apartments. It's a roughly $15 million project. There will be 2 full-time equivalent and 6 part-time employees, which we work out to 5 full-time equivalent. They are requesting mortgage recording tax, sales tax, and a 15-year pilot. And this, they've in the application have addressed our affordable and workforce housing requirements. And because of it hits a bunch of notes in our UTUP as far as it being a close to a rail, TOD in a defined downtown. So I believe that's why the 15-year pilot was requested. And so our UTEP addresses that in the, when the pilot is developed. Any questions?
Eric?
She summarized the project. What I can add to that is on June the 11th, we finalized the site plan approval with SECRA and NECDAC with the Coachella Village Planning Board. And we provided your board with copies of all the applications. We have double checked our request for the affordable and workforce and discussed it with Peter Elkowitz at Long Island Housing Partnership. And he's comfortable with the numbers that we had provided. We also discussed it with Mr. Weir previously while we were working through. And we had talked about the 15-year because right after the railroad tracks, the village starts, and this is probably 2 blocks from the Long Island Railroad or Jefferson, as Lori Lisa has mentioned. And in addition, Elkowitz is in favor of that portion of it. We are trying to get our building permit and complete our financing within the next 3 months. They're dealing with, as I told you, the bank. We have it lined up, which is now done. It used to be
NPNB.
and that's in play. And pretty much as to his reputation in prior projects, the 77 unit one, which is sort of diagonally opposite this one, is fully rented with a wait list. The one in Lowerport, which is called Brockport or Brookport, is almost finished construction. We anticipate COs in the end of July, beginning of August. Out of the 44 apartments that are there, 35 or 36 are already rented, and there's a wait list for those apartments. This particular location that we're talking about is going to have some office, commercial, 1,800 square feet, but we're not including that in the pilot. That's excluded, so it's just going to be the 36 units that were being discussed. And there's been discussion in the papers about this in the record up in Setauket, Stony Brook, and Woodchef, and the Lobster House has moved down into the village. So Mr. Gito has asked that if you can give all of the necessary relief so it moves forward systematically, both for the relief that we're seeking for sales use tax mortgage, as well as the pilot, set the public hearing so we can proceed throughout the summer and complete the financing and do whatever needs to be done. We would like to have this all finished in terms of with building permit in hand somewhere in November, early December, so it's a done thing.
I know this is a form to be able to accept the application.
Yes.
Correct, but I do have 2 questions. One, and I remember reading in the record some comments about this. Do you have the support for the building through your civics?
Yes, everything. When we did the public hearings, there were several work session meetings that took place in January and February. We then started the actual public hearings on the application in March, and we had them March, April, and May. And then it was finally decided after the closed public hearings on June the 11th. So it has been aired on virtual Zoom meetings throughout the period. The public was allowed to come in. They did attend the hearings. The comments were acknowledged. The issues and concerns were focused on traffic and the need for apartments, but the village has determined that yes, and in this particular case, because of what's being designed, most of the people, or a lot of tenants that are coming in are interns or residents or doctors, nursing staff that want to get to Mather, St. Charles, or Stony Brook, and there's high demand for the apartments.
Second question is demonstrable need. What is the need for relief and why? Why
For the what?
the relief? The obviously comes at a cost to the taxpayers in the sense that.
So what Mr. Gito has determined based on his construction of the other two projects and what he's dealing with downtown currently, because of COVID, the cost of steel, the cost of wood, the cost of all the materials that are going in, the accessibility of getting to appliances that have to come in and the increase in prices. He found that he locked in his prices and was storing items for Brookport so they could complete it. And he's concerned that in this particular case, if we have to confront the issues of the governor coming in with the wage and labor prices that have to be contended with, this project is off the charts. So, but for the issue of you granting the relief that's being requested here, this project wouldn't go forward. Mr. Gito is in contract, he does not own it. Once we get your approval, with the village's approval, we at that point will then complete our closing with the Mariella family and trust that own the property and have owned it for probably 60 years. And he'll proceed with the project.
So the
You're
project
a
would not
financial
move forward,
factor.
right? So the project would not move forward without.
Without you, this project is on very tight marks.
They made that representation
Yeah.
in the application. So.
Certified.
And I reviewed his personal financial statement earlier this morning, and it is strong.
I make a
And
motion.
based on your other
Lisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Annette. Can you hear us?
Oh, good. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can see you too.
it's nice in Montauk this morning, I'm sure.
Yeah, here. Let me give you a view. Hold on, guys. Just had breakfast with my kids.
So bottom line, we need you, otherwise this doesn't fly and it gets, contract gets canceled. So
Is there a second?
Sure.
Sure.
The affordable rates that were in the application from the, housing partnership.
yes, because what happened is we went back and forth with Peter Elfowitz. Peter and the Gito group were on properties are being protected based on those that the treasury group and being monitored by a partnership present. So
And that
they
itself.
for those.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the vote, Gary? Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty? Frank votes yes. The application is accepted.
And we'll set the public hearing.
So with that. We're able to move forward with working with Mr. Weir on financing and completing. This doesn't have to come back before.
Not till final resolution.
Final authorizing
Yeah,
resolution.
final
We have to have a public hearing. Yes, but
All right, great. Thank you very much and have a good day.
you too. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Art.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an application for North Point Winters Long Island Industrial LLC. To give you a brief overview, and I know that we have representatives here. This is, as indicated in the application and your packets, it's proposed a total of 2.5 million square feet of spec industrial space located at the intermodal rail facility between the LIE Horse Block and Sills Road, east of Sills Road. It's a $409 million project, which will be phased in, probably starting with the parcels on the map listed as parcel D. There's a 1 million square foot building and a roughly 306,000 square foot building. There's plans for 2 more buildings on parcels B and C that are about 600 and 650,000 square feet, and rail around, as you can see on the map, rail around all the buildings. As spec building, we don't have exact job numbers, but there's included was a feasibility study that shows between, let's just say 1,100 and 1,300 employees in the 4 buildings. They're requesting mortgage recording tax, sales tax, and a 20-year pilot. But keep in mind that the way that we're doing this is an application for the entire project. And then, like we did in Ron Cobb, they're going to provide us phases, phased in applications, and we're gonna take each phase as a standalone, but do one main master project with everything set, a public hearing that covers everything. That's the plan. Bill, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No.
Okay. Peter, did you have anything that you guys wanted to? Yeah.
Well, Lisa, you always steal about 2/3 of my thunder.
It's my job.
I'm going to make my entire.
Can she bill accordingly?
She's not paid that one.
You guys can thank me.
From the Ministry of Redundancy. Again, my name is Peter Perry. I'm an attorney at Barron Fritz BC, 400 RXR Plaza, Uniondale, New York. With me is Johnny Sweeney, Mr. Sweeney from North Point, and Michael White, who is appearing on behalf of Winter Brothers. This application is on behalf of NP Winters Long Island Industrial LLC. The project involves the overall construction of approximately 2,550,000 square feet of new first-class rail-oriented distribution warehouse facilities. The project is located on both the north side and the south side of the Long Island Railroad tracks. I know you have renderings, but if you think about it, it runs all the way from the south side of the road of the Long Island Expressway to Horse Block Road. It is bounded on the west by a small LIPA parcel and on the east by Suffolk County properties. The entire site that we're talking about in this application is approximately 271 acres. Of that acreage, approximately 62 acres are being reserved to the town as a conservation easement. At this time,
How many acres are being preserved?
for a conservation easement being preserved for the town, is agreement with the town that currently, the easement currently exists. I'm discussing it a little further, but it's on the north part of the south part of the property,
And how many acres is that?
about 61.
Thank you.
Yes. So I think the agency should know with whom it deals. I'd like to introduce Johnny Sweeney at this time so that he can discuss North Point Development, what the company is, what it does, and why it would be a great partner for the town of Brookhaven.
Thank you, Peter. So good morning, members of the board and staff. Thanks for having us this morning. I'll keep my comments brief. I know you've got a lot going on. So I work for North Point Development. We're based out of Riverside, Missouri, which is a small city near Kansas City. Our company is about 10 years old. We're very fortunate over the last 5 years to have done more industrial square footage than any firm in the country. And we have about 96 million square feet in our portfolio. In large part, it's been through great partnerships with communities and then doing what we say we're going to do. For this particular project, we don't have any tenants in place. What we anticipate going in is high credit tenants looking for distribution warehouses that are rail served. We work with both national and international companies that we've all heard of, but we also work with more local regional firms as well, just depending on the market. And what I just want to close with is our experience has been that capital goes where capital is welcome. And our experience with the town to this point has been great. We know it's a complex project. There's a lot of pieces and parts, and we appreciate your consideration.
At this time, I also wanted to introduce Michael White from Winters Brothers to talk about rail spurs, because I know that people like talking about railroads and they like hearing about them. So Michael, maybe you can introduce how the project is going to be served by rail.
Okay, so I'm with Winters Brothers Waste Systems and also Brookhaven Rail LLC. Brookhaven Rail is an affiliate of Winters. We purchased that about a year and a half ago. So Brookhaven Rail is a short-line railroad licensed by the Surface Transportation Board. Brookhaven Rail presently serves what was known as Parcel A of the Brookhaven Rail Terminal, which is a 28-acre parcel that abuts Sills Road, north of the Long Island Railroad. So that's an operating rail terminal. Brookhaven Rail will also serve the other 2 or 3 parcels that we're talking about here. The parcels B and C will be served according to a decision from 2016 from the Surface Transportation Board, basically licensing Brookhaven Rail to serve those properties. The parcel D, this 228-acre parcel south of the railroad, is a little bit different in that Brookhaven Rail is presently seeking authority to construct and operate the rail on that parcel from the Surface Transportation Board. So it will be the short line railroad that serves that entire complex. And the job of the short line railroad is to basically move rail cars in and out of those properties. And we have an interchange agreement with New York and Atlantic, which is the freight service rail for the Long Island Railroad and Indiana.
Michael, maybe you can talk about the swap of easement.
Sure. So the original plan with respect to the BC and D development, so that's the 93 acres north of the railroad and the 220 acres on the south, as Peter has pointed out, is presently a 62-acre conservation easement in place. And when originally thought, the original thinking of the prior owners was that there would be an underpass from parcel C underneath the Long Island Railroad onto the south 228-acre parcel to provide rail service. Frankly, that was really just not the most efficient way to do that. And so we've been working with the town to the extent that we've made an application to the Long Island Railroad to put a switch, another switch on the Long Island Railroad main line. And that switch would provide a southern turnout. So we would have a turnout right off the Long Island Railroad to serve the 228-acre parcel. And that would eliminate the need to construct that underpass. However, it does involve, and again, we're working with the town on this, to adjust the conservation easement. Meaning that in order to make the curvature off that switch down to where it needs to get on parcel D, the 228-acre parcel, we need to clip off about 3 acres of one side of the conservation easement. But our proposal, and we're working with the town on this, is to basically give 6 acres back to the other side of the conservation easement. So ultimately, the conservation easement will be expanded, and the environmental benefit and practical cost benefit is we will not have to excavate that canyon that would be required between the two parcels. So we're really looking forward to being able to use that opportunity to adjust that conservation.
So what are you transporting off the site?
So basically on parcel A right now, it's basically incoming materials. And the bulk of those materials that we bring into parcel A are building materials. The second commodity that's a very large commodity is flour. We have a lot of baking entities on Long Island. And then cement is also a very large commodity that's coming into parcel A. Parcel A is presently doing about 3,500 rail cars a year. So it's the major client there is Home Depot. You'll see there's 2 buildings there, but the rail actually runs through those buildings. With respect to B and C, the plan will be basically that various commodities, depending on the tenants, would be coming in by rail to serve those rail-served warehousing. On parcel D, the 228-acre parcel, similarly, the 2 rail-served warehousing buildings would be whatever commodities need to be shipped into those buildings by whatever tenants.
So it's spec, so it's to be determined.
That's D.
Well, it'll be B and C and D.
All the buildings.
Yeah, they're all spec, they
No
will all be
tenants have been
spec.
identified yet, so at this stage of the game, while there is an understanding about who the likely tenants would be, no agreements have been reached, so in terms of us being able to tell you particular things that would be imported onto the site, we can't do that.
I
Yes.
can tell you that there is no facility on Long Island like this, and there is no facility planned like it. And I think what Johnny and North Point is experiencing is the fact that there's this huge need for industrial warehousing, and having the opportunity to rail serve this facility will probably provide an opportunity to take a couple of 100,000 trucks off the road.
And those are the long haul trucks that are mucking up the Long Island Expressway right now. So as we mentioned, the project is estimated to cost more than $400 million in today's dollars. This is a phased project, and the way it's anticipated is that the building will be planned. Tenants will then see that the building is planned and far along the planning process and will sign up. What could happen, what we'd love to see happen, is that tenants want to sign up for all the 4 buildings right away. But Right now, the plan is build a building, then build another building, and another. And I think your idea was both buildings on that parcel D initially, and then move up to parcel B and C. And I think, that makes the most logistical sense in terms of getting things going, infrastructure also. We did commission a study from MRB Associates because, to your point, if you don't know who your tenants are, it's very difficult to estimate what the jobs are going to be. And MRB Associates did, I think, a fantastic job of developing a range of possible employment, a range of possible income. So they were pretty certain that we'd be approximately 1,150 direct construction jobs, which using their analysis results in another 670 indirect jobs resulting from those construction wages. And the construction wages would be approximately $125 million.
And that study was included in your packets.
Yep, and then following that up, the annual employment was estimated to be in a range between 1,100 and 1,350 employees, which would result in between 380 and 480 indirect jobs, and an annual economic effect ranging from 77.3 million to 96.5 million dollars. We already discussed the environmental effects, and I've been talking about parcel A. I think parcel A is pretty much full up. So it can't take any more. So right away, that it's crying out for additional rail-oriented construction. And it's no secret that this parcel has had a tangled history with the town. I think Michael and I have been involved in these sites for a long period of time each. It's great to see this come to fruition. And it's great for the town, the IDA, Winters Brothers, and me to partner with a company like North Point Development, which is experienced in this type of business, which understands what they have to do, which has a roster of potential clients who know that they can produce what they said they're going to produce and likely to sign leases with them. I think it's a great project. I'm really excited about it, frankly. This is the biggest project I've worked on in the town of Brookhaven, maybe one of the biggest projects ever to reach the town of Brookhaven. And I think I look forward to the response. We are looking for a 20-year pilot, as Lisa said, running from the completion of construction of each of the buildings. We are also looking for a mortgage tax abatement and a sales tax abatement.
Go ahead, Gary.
I'd like to make a
Well,
motion
I
to
just-
accept the application.
Before you do that, Annette, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Muted.
I asked her to mute herself, yeah.
She has service.
Michael, question.
Sure.
People in this room know I'm a railroad nerd. I had a conversation with the New York and Atlantic people probably about 2 months ago about bringing containers out here. I know the overpasses prohibit double stacks. My question was more about single stacks. And the answer I got back was the spine cars or well cars that are used to hold those containers would probably rip up the third rail. So I don't know whether there's a plan to put those containers on flat cars instead, or is there any thought about container business to Long Island going forward? I guess is my question.
So the answer is, I think we would like to see that go forward, but that will not stop us providing the service to the regular kind of freight cars that's on the parcel D point. I think the other point here is that the freight service from Long Island or to and from Long Island is going through the Fresh Pond Yard up to the front. Very watching very there's actually a freight car float operation that goes from Brooklyn over to years. It's very, very minimal. At this point, there's been huge investment by New York City Economic Development, by the New Jersey Port Authority. So we see that as another big opportunity to handle this freight car.
Okay, thank you.
Annette, did you have anything you wanted to add? I can hear.
She may not have service.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Morning. Annette? Well, what we're doing is accepting the application, correct?
Yeah, right. And authorizing public hearing.
We can kind of hear you, but you're definitely
Quiet.
breaking up.
Any reason not to? No. All right, on the vote. Gary?
Yes.
Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty? Fred votes yes. Application is accepted.
Thank you very much for hearing this. It's great working with you. We really look forward to.
So do we.
If we can get on the locomotive.
He's gonna wanna ride.
I'll be there.
Come on, ride. He's already telling you already.
First ride to Fred. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Lisa,
Wait,
Lisa, are you there? Can you hear me?
hear you now.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify for the record.
Up in it.
The clarity is not there.
Contact's nice this time of year.
Yeah.
Cell service past DCI.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, especially out of Montauk.
Remember, Gardner, everybody had to go to that one point?
Yeah.
We were on the roof. Yeah, the roof
I
over
was
the,
just at Star Island, and I did an IDA meeting.
The Gurney's.
At the other, at
Gurney's
Star Island.
Ocean one. We used to
All
have
right,
LDC
well-
meetings there. You had to go on the roof over, there was like
We can't.
observation.
Yeah.
decks.
Yes, yes.
On
all
the
right,
roof.
Okay.
don't worry about it.
It's
We'll
open.
Thanks,
clarify
thanks,
later.
Michael.
The town attorney has any further questions or clarification?
Sure. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Jen.
Lisa, did you hear any of that?
No, and that,
Lisa,
go ahead.
you didn't hear any of it? Okay. So what I wanted to clarify is that although the town did cooperate and try to get the legislation passed, it obviously didn't forward, and counting on North Point in their return to carry ball, change public opinion, get the message out. And so
And that you're
that's
breaking,
what I wanted to clarify for the record.
okay, Connie, would you say what she's trying to say and we can have Annette just confirm?
Yeah, text you, Lisa, and
What she's trying to say is that we're still working with the town on various things with regard to the development of this project, and that is an ongoing process. We understand that this is not trying to stop what we know we have to do with the town in terms of the easement, swapping the easement and whatever, town involvement we have in terms of site plan, et cetera, et cetera. But we understand that it's an ongoing process.
And I would also, I think what that was also saying was that the legislation was needed to make that adjustment. I did not get through this past session, but we're sort of not giving up on whatever we need to do to get that done.
Thanks.
yes, that's exactly right. That North Point Winters needs to carry the ball, and they need,
Thank you, Annette. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is GGSP Investments. I know that we have guests on, Amy, would you let
Yep,
Alvin in?
absolutely.
So this is a project that proposes to purchase the existing Vista Support Jefferson project in Port Station. It's located on Bicycle Path Road in Port Jeff Station. It's a 244 senior rental facility, already constructed, already rented, and we're proposing to purchase the facility. It's a $119 million project. Jobs that we agreed to previously will remain. They're requesting an assignment of the pilot and a mortgage reporting tax exemption on the portion of the mortgage that's not being signed, which I think is going to be relatively small. Howard, did you want to add anything?
I think you covered everything, Lisa. Thank you.
I think Mr. Shine is on. Did you want to add anything?
Yes, hello. My name is Alvin Shine. I'm a partner in the law firm of Seiden and Shine, and we are representing the applicant, which is Greystar, who has a contract to buy the project, as you know. They're really looking forward to acquiring the project. They have other holdings in Long Island, both Nassau and Suffolk, and they're a very major landlord in the country, and will do a great job of operating this property. They also own other 55 and over communities, so they're familiar with the process involved. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
Questions from the board? Is this fully rented at this point?
It's almost fully rented, not 100%, but it's very, very far along in terms of being rented.
Thank you. That's correct. And providing mortgage recording tax to the extent we can on the difference between the mortgage that's being assigned and the new one.
Fred, I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
I just said that, and providing a mortgage recording tax exemption on the difference between the amount that's being assigned and the new mortgage.
Yeah, my understanding is that the seller and the purchaser have agreed that they'll endeavor to transfer or have the existing lenders assign the mortgages directly to the new lender. And by doing so, they will avoid having to ask us for additional mortgage recording tax exemptions. And it'll just be on the new money, so to speak, that they'll need the assistance.
That's correct.
Questions? Motion? Gary? Frank? On the vote, Gary? Yes. Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Marty? I vote yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an application for Coast to Coast Real Estate. Marty? Marty's recusing, so we'll grab you when you can come back in. Yes. Do you want to ask?
Let me explain first, then I will, yeah.
Okay. So this project, they're currently leasing space in Ronkonkoma. They are proposing to purchase an existing 20,000 square foot building, the current Grucci facility. It's and Coast to Coast Restoration and Coast to Coast Plumbing and HVAC are going to be the main users of the facility. They also plan to lease to a company called Target Media Group and Bold Systems, which was the original company that built this building. They've had a small presence when Grucci was there, and they plan to remain. They have one employee. They're already in the building. They're going to stay. So Coast to Coast and their companies have 15 employees. Their application indicates that they will add 20 for a total of 35 full-time equivalent. It's a $4.75 million project. They're requesting sales tax and a pilot and possibly a mortgage recording tax. They're still working through those details. Does anyone have any questions? Brian is here representing the company. Brian, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Good morning, Brian Sinsbaum, Sertilli Ballot, Berkeley. How about Jordan? Yeah, the applicant. That's very thorough explanation of what we're looking for, and represent Coast to Coast Real Estate LLC. And there are other two companies that will be tenants. The tenants currently, where they are located in Ronkonkoma, have outgrown that location. Without moving, they will not be able to bring in additional business, will not be able to grow. By relocating to this location, they're looking to expand and bring in additional jobs beyond each of those.
The job of the workforce projection,
35 total.
35.
Questions? Motion?
Second.
Okay. On the vote, Gary?
Yes.
Lenore?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
I vote yes. Good to go.
Okay, so we will schedule the public hearing. And Bill, did you have anything you wanted to add? Sorry.
No, that should
I was
be
looking for something. Okay.
schedule the public hearing and then probably possibly come to the board for the next meeting.
Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim's grabbing. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna keep taking items out of order because I don't think we have anybody who's here for American Region, so we'll deal with that one. I'm gonna jump down, since Chris Kent is here for 555, which is a little ways down in our,
CEO's report.
yeah, down in the CEO's report, but since we have guests, I figured I would take it out of order.
Please, I don't want to interrupt, but we just got an email from Chris Merman. The fire alarms are gonna go off at 10:35. Don't get up and leave the building.
Excellent,
Okay, and just because you know that's what's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna get all nervous
yes.
and, yeah, they're gonna be going off from 10:35 till around 12 noon. So
Hopefully not
hopefully
consistently.
not, exactly, hopefully not constantly. They may
Okay.
just be testing some system.
Do you wanna tee this up?
I'll tee this up. So there's three things to discuss with 555. They have requested the IDA to join in granting new mortgages to refinance the existing mortgages on his property. If you recall, and for Laura, this is new for you.
Yeah, sorry.
Last September, October, they had passed their completion date, which should have been September of 2020. They came to the IDA and said, due to COVID, they requested an extension of the completion date of the project to, and again, for Lenore, this is the old Dowling College site at the airport. So
Right near Calabro Airport.
Right near Calabro Airport. Dowling, the IDA issued bonds to build that facility for Dowling College. Dowling College went bankruptcy, and 555 bought it with IDA benefits out of the bankruptcy sale of Dowling College. Mortgages were put on the time. So in the last few weeks, 555 requested the IDA to join in granting new mortgages to refinance the mortgages. Going back to last year, when they came to us and asked extension for the completion date till December, the IDA gave them to December 31, 2020, at which point they were supposed to come back with the IDA for a revised plan of how they're going to develop this project. Also during this time frame, the building was damaged in a hurricane or tropical storm, whatever it was, with landfall. Had a lot of water damage. The IDA received a check for the insurance that was, because again, the IDA and the company are both lost payees on the insurance on the building. With the bank's permission, that was deposited. Yesterday, the IDA got another request for another about $750,000 check, also made out. So we don't have, so that's also something we can't deposit that without the existing bank's permission, because a bank has a security interest in insurance proceeds, because again, they control it. So there's really three things that are all come together at this meeting. One, they're technically in default because they did not come back to the board back in December of last year with a plan of how they redevelop the project. And that's the first issue. The second issue, whether the board wants to participate in refinancing the old mortgages with new mortgages, and we can't do anything with the insurance until we get at least the current bank to agree to let them deposit the money so they can continue making repairs to the building. That's where we are today. Chris, did you want to add?
Yeah, so first I would like to introduce myself, the agency. My name is Christopher Kent. I'm a partner at Farrell Fritz. I'm also from the Academy of Redundancy. I wanted to go back a little bit into history. Peter taught me everything I know about this, so let me give a little history. Since this is my first time before the agency on this matter, so I'd like to give a little history. It might be helpful to you also in presenting what we're asking for today. First of all, title to the property, the Dowling College campus, which Bill mentioned, is a 105-acre campus, formerly operated as a Dowling College satellite facility for aviation training. There were hangars, existing hangars, and dormitories on the campus when it was acquired by 555 back in September 21st of 2018. It's also subject to a special permit from the town of Brookhaven, which limited the uses of the site. that were permitted. At the time, the property was subdivided off from the airport. This property has a long history in the town. The town subdivided, they also entered into covenants with the health department, which restricted future development of the site. So it permitted the Dowling College campus to be developed, which were a couple of hangars and some dormitory buildings, recreational facilities, which is a baseball diamond, softball field, soccer fields, and accessory parking to all of those uses.
Wasn't there also, like, there was,
Way to go process.
there were classroom, there was another, like, classroom building too there.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
There was more than just hangars. There was a large building that was used for classroom purposes.
Well, they converted one of the hangars internally to a classroom building.
Yeah.
It was originally developed as a hangar. They then went into the interior, Bosley's Fitness, converted one of the interior hangars to a classroom building for aviation training purposes. So they began efforts at that time, 555 began efforts to lease out the campus buildings, consistent with the special permit and limited uses that were permitted by the special permit for Dowling College campus. It was basically an academic facility with accessory dormitories and classroom space. So the Brookhaven IDA lease agreement was also signed at the same time, entered into in September 21st of 2018. And this was a very, this was for a redevelopment of this very unique and difficult redevelopment project because of the limitations. At that time, the applicant was represented by Eric Russo. Subsequently, they were represented by White and Williams. And White and Williams made some applications and correspondence with the IDA right up until October of 2020. So during the time from September 2018 to October 2020, 555 was making efforts to attract a use that was consistent with the special permit, which was an academic use, aviation related. It became very difficult when COVID started in February, March of 2020 for them to finalize their agreement. Just as an aside, I have done other airport development projects, Nebraska Airport in West Hampton. I'm working on the Calverton Airport project in Riverhead. Redevelopment of airports takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. The Suffolk County Airport of Nebraska was acquired in 1978, and they really didn't develop it other than the Air National Guard and some T hangars that were built out on the runways. The development project started in 2009. So you're looking at 31 years of time it took to get that airport on the ground for development. Calverton Airport, I was on the town board in Riverhead when we took title to that property in 1998. And other than selling off the existing industrial core buildings in 2001, they are just now working on redevelopment of that site, and it's 25 years after they took title. So these are not overnight successes. So I would think the only error that was made by, perhaps by prior council, was they didn't request enough time to really develop a reuse of this site. It's not easy to redevelop an airport. So I don't know who was short-sighted in that, but somebody should have really thought it through. And I'm not trying to ask for that today, but redeveloping an airport is at least a 10-year project. You can go in there and probably try to occupy the current space, but if you really want to put a plan together for a realistic project that will be a success, it takes planning, it takes design, it takes engineering, and it takes probably change of zone applications so that you can have uses other than what was allowed by the special permit granted by the town back in the 1990s for the Dowling College campus.
Nice try, Chris.
Saved by the bell.
Stay in the hot seat. I've been taught you in the back of the meeting. Would you like me to wait so we get this clear on the record?
They said possibly till noon, so I keep going.
I'll speak up and try to talk
In between.
the buzzing.
Where is 555?
Excuse me,
Where's 555?
where are they physically located?
No, where are they? Project.
Oh, 555 is the owner and redeveloper. of
So
the-
there's still.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't
That
understand.
hasn't changed ownership. Okay.
So my first involvement with this project was in October of 2020. Okay, they came to me as a land use council to try to work with the town to see if Amazon.com services could come in and utilize the recreational parking lot, which is about 3.5 acres across from the baseball diamond and soccer and lacrosse field. There's about 250 spaces in that parking lot. They wanted to know if they could reuse, or they could use that portion of the site to provide driver training and overnight parking of vehicles for Amazon's use at their site in Shirley, which is on Precision Drive. I think it's also a project that came before this agency. So they needed off-site parking because the Precision Drive location wasn't adequate to park all the vehicles that Amazon needed to properly run that last mile facility, Precision Drive. So I was brought in. I immediately contacted the agency to inform them that I would be working on trying to get a sublease agreement for Amazon's use. Of course, it was going to be subject to zoning approvals by the town. So I began to negotiate the license agreement with Amazon. At the same time, I started to speak with the planning commissioner and with the town attorney about possibly expanding the special permit for this use. After the lease was negotiated, an application was made the same day, October 16th of 2020, to the IDA for a sublease to Amazon.com services to utilize the parking lot at the facility. After a lot of work with the planning commissioner and with Paul DeChance at the ZBA, or BZA, excuse me, Board of Zoning Appeals, we made application on November 12th. Less than a month later, we made a building permit application, needed to get a denial from the building department, so we did go to the BZA for approval for application. We made our application to the BZA. We had our hearing on December 9th. Very quickly, less than a month later, we were before the BZA hearing. The BZA approved the use, they expanded, they amended special permit for Amazon's use of the site on December 18th. It's followed up with another building permit application based on the BZA's approval, which was made on December 22nd. So you can see these dates, we were moving this forward very quickly. So December 24th, 2 days later, your building department was out there inspecting the site so that they could grant the building permit for the proposed use. So Amazon commenced sometime, looks like perhaps the last week of December 2020. That's when their use commenced. In March of this year, March 2nd, I started to have email correspondence with the agency again to try to bring 555 into compliance. So we were working on compliance certifications. I provided all of the information for 555's use, which are all zeros. They've never had any development at the site or jobs created. It's true. But we now had Amazon who came in, and they had about 200 to 250 jobs that were created by their use. Unfortunately, Amazon started very late, so they really didn't have this certification is really for December.
We got certification from them for this past December, and they indicated there was 200 jobs there.
Right. So that was what one week of 200 jobs. Yeah, so I don't mean to downplay that, but that is true. We wanted to let you know. And that was me, I submitted it. Based on the information I had, they were starting with 200 jobs, and they were starting in the last week of December 2020. We kept following up with Amazon because we had forwarded them, our firm prepared a tenant agency compliance agreement for Amazon signature. We also requested from them NYS 45 forms, which are the job number forms that would be submitted to the agency to certify compliance with the conditions under the IDA lease agreement. So we made as many efforts as we could to get that done. They did not As of now, I know that the Amazon has not signed or submitted that tenant agency compliance agreement. This is my first appearance before the IDA on this matter. So I just want to let you know that I would like, if I could request certain things, indulge me a little bit, give me just a little bit of time, and I think I can bring this whole matter into compliance. So just to recap, 2018, 2019, the submissions from 555 showed 0 jobs and 0 occupancy at the site. Again, commencing late in December, Amazon created 200 to 250 jobs that they were expecting from the use of the property by them. We will work to finalize and submit the tenant agency compliance agreement to the agency as quickly as possible. 555 continues to negotiate potential users and occupants for the remainder of the site, the hangars and the dormitories. And I can tell you, I'm personally in active negotiations on behalf of 555 with the following entities. Now, we've been impacted over the last 15 months by COVID. So again, we just need a little time to complete this. I can tell you that Unique Electric Solutions, which is a company that is converting UPS trucks from gas-powered engines to electric engines. Their president is Joseph Ambrosio. He's looking for immediate occupancy of one of the existing hangars for research and development on the design and installation of these engines that would convert these trucks from fuel powered to electric. We've also had conversations with Roger Clayman, the Long Island Federation of Labor, for Maersk. Maersk is looking to possibly occupy one of the hangars for offshore wind.
When I need a meeting, I'll call you later.
I have not had personal conversations with Roger Clayman, but I've been told those conversations are ongoing. I have spoken to Joseph.
Thank you very much.
Another company, Academy of Aviation, is also looking to possibly locate in one of the hangars. That's Chris Richards, who's the owner of Academy of Aviation. I've also personally spoken to Jim Petroselli, who's a fixed base operator at Calabro Airport, about possibly locating some of his planes in one of the hangars. We're in constant contact with Community Housing Innovations, proposal to occupy the dormitories, connected with a workforce training program, because I tried to really submit something to the town that complies with the special permit that's been granted. So they're looking to occupy the dormitories, and they're looking to develop a workforce training program to retrain people who are out of work or looking for employment, so that they can have new skills to fill many of the jobs that are currently vacant and available. So it's a retraining program that I'm working with Ron Abad and Alec Roberts from CHI, Community Housing Innovations. And that's ongoing now. So I'd ask today if we could possibly extend the time through December 31, 2021. And I really don't think that's a realistic date to complete a redevelopment project at this site based on what the site entails and what types of uses we'd like to put at the site that will probably require zoning amendments to allow those uses to go forward. And the alternative, if you're considering taking action on the declaring 555 in default, I would ask that you give me at least to your next meeting on July 28th to submit documents to demonstrate compliance under the current, to the extent we can, under the current lease agreement. So I'd also ask if the agency would consider co-signing or signing the documents necessary that we can borrow refinance the mortgage on the property, and that we do consider endorsing the check so that the roof repairs on the hangar can be completed.
So let me just, a couple of things I want to share with the board, and I have a couple of questions also. Our pilot, just so that you're all aware, started in the 2018-2019 year. So we're already time into a reduction, a pilot. So, and that hasn't, yes, Amazon has been there, certainly acknowledge that, but there hasn't really been a true project in the sense of what they originally came to us with. As far as the check, the insurance check, I spoke to Justin, who I believe is on Zoom right now, and just told him we need some documentation. I just need some information. I got a phone call from the bank, so I couldn't act on it. And we discussed it yesterday. He's going to provide me the information. With the refinance.
And with that, depending on the refinance, either the existing bank has to approve it or the new bank. But again,
Yeah.
because insurance, the bank has a lien on the insurance, so that was the.
Chris, is it their own bank? Or is it?
I really don't know the answer. to that.
Because they own a
I know
bank.
They own their own banks.
Yeah.
I'm aware that they do. I'll find that out. I'll find
And I'd be interested to know where the proceeds are going.
That was my next question. But both for the
I understand. So you want to
refinance.
use the funds, you want me to demonstrate some
Well,
type of use of
Jody
funds?
Soko, their counsel, their firm at Farrell Fritz did send me an email the other day for the breakdown of the use of the funds, so we do have that. I'll send that to you, Fred.
Okay.
Okay, yes, Jody. From my office.
Yeah, Jody sent that to me, I think, on Monday.
Okay, good.
You know, we're aware, or some of us are aware, that they got much bigger problems in Minneapolis or wherever it is, and in Jersey. Working on the thing in Riverhead, if that ever happens. So this is a small piece for them. It's a big piece for us and for you. So we'd like to get it resolved.
I would like to get it resolved also. As I said, this is my first time before this
Yep.
agency on this matter. I am going to do everything I can to provide documentation. I have provided in the past when the repairs were started to the roof, and the reason that Bill, we had discussed that there was no building permit issue. According to LB&J Construction, no building permit was required to make the roof repairs because there was no structural damage to the building. It was determined that a building permit wasn't required. So that's what I was told yesterday after I inquired with LB&J Construction. The damages to the building did come from the storm last August. I say Ias, trying to say it correctly. And at that time, I did provide additional documentation requested by the town attorney and by the agency that demonstrated the damage. We provided an adjuster's report of damages and a contract with LB&J Construction for the repairs that will be done to the facility with an estimated cost of those repairs. We also provided certificates of insurance from LB&J, naming the agency as an additional insurer.
I was going to suggest that we just give you another 30 days to get what we need in here so we can make a decision rather than protract this thing.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree, but I'm also inclined to say,
They haven't been good tenants going
right,
forward.
yeah, and I mean, a whole lot of nothing is going on. Really, from a redevelopment standpoint, you're absolutely right.
Chris, they need better potty training.
There's way more work that needs to be done to be able to do that. Even the clientele or the, prospective tenants that you're describing, I mean, still, no offense to them, there's a whole lot of nothing there. I don't know, to what extent you're sort of to be able to even work with that.
Any reason not to?
But I agree.
And I would suggest that, that we approve the additional financing under the mortgage
The
bills.
refinancing,
Under the mortgage.
no new benefits.
Bill's got a list of use of those proceeds, which you can circulate. So subject to our seeing that, then we'll approve that. Or we approve it subject to.
Approve it, subject to Fred's review.
I need a motion to that effect, and then we'll come back to you.
Frank has a question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is there a second? Wait a minute, I want to get it. Okay, now I'll ask you a question.
Yes, thank you for a comprehensive presentation. You mentioned BOCES took one of the hangars and converted it. Is there anything going on there with that?
So that was
any way at this front?
So the interior renovations that BOCES had made back in, I want to say, the late 90s have all been removed. That was done back when Dowling College was there.
Okay.
And they co-located with Dowling College as part of the aviation campus.
Thank you.
This was Victor Meskill's dream
Yeah.
way back when.
I know that.
You remember? right, there's a motion on the table. On a vote, Gary,
Yes.
Lenore,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is an application from American Region Incorporated. I don't think there's anybody. I can't see that far with or without glasses. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of
And
this.
I'll jump in even ahead of you because this is an extension of a project that we probably did back in the 80s or early 90s. It was originally NatCon and it became Lewitt-Pohl. Now it's American Region.
Yep. American Region, formerly Lewitt-Pohl. They put an application into us maybe even a year ago. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
And they have subsequently amended their application. That's what was included in your packets. They're a pharmaceutical company. They are located at 5 Ramsey Road in Shirley in the Shirley Industrial Park. They updated their application. The changes include increasing the addition from 14,000 square feet to 18,000 square feet, and they increased their cost to $68 million. Job retention remains at 375 people or FTEs, and they're still requesting the sales tax and a pilot. We had a public hearing the other day. Excuse me, sorry, there was no comment, and the CBA was included in your packets. Does anybody have any questions?
This
Okay,
was
so Very-
get.
Back then, it was an 85,000 square foot expansion.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
it's
they backed off of and
it's-
went to a different.
changed a lot,
Yeah.
and I was gonna say FAA, that's not right. The FDA has come back to them and required some of these changes.
Correct.
And just so you know, you're accepting the amended application, and then also we have a final authorizing resolution.
Reflecting the new
Yes.
application.
So moved to accept the application.
Second? Marty,
Second.
any other questions? Gary,
Yes.
Lenore,
Yeah.
Frank,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Okay, and just for clarification, that was for accepting the application and also for
The final.
final
Authorizing
authorizing
resolution.
resolution. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a request that we received from Long Island Precast. They asked if we would, participate in a refinancing of approximately $1.5 million of a mortgage that they had when we originally did this project. There's no new money involved. Howard, did you want to outline this?
Strictly a rate.
There's really not much to add. As said, they're just refinancing an existing mortgage with the same bank. And they may actually not need our assistance, but if they do, we wanted to have a resolution in place to accommodate them.
Just lowering the rate based on the letter I saw. Motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Lenore, you want to get into the game?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll second.
On the vote, Gary,
Yes.
Lenore,
Yes.
Frank?
Yeah.
Marty?
Yes.
Frank votes yes. Thank you.
Okay, we already introduced Lenore at our LDC, but.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Hi.
Fun meeting.
Nice to meet you.
We need to add Lenore to the slate of officers and to our committees in the LDC. I mean, the IDA, we did in the LDC. So can I have a,
So
motion?
moved.
Okay. So-
Gary,
Yes.
you can abstain. Frank?
Yes.
Yes.
Marty? Yes.
Okay, all right, and that's amending those two resolutions. I included our mission statement in the package just because I had a couple of questions from people, and I just figured it's not a bad thing to share periodically, sort of a reminder of what our mission is. I put it in my notes before I knew Lenore was joining us, but it works out well. So the mission statement and measurement report, we actually amended in January. We made some changes to our mission statement. I think that was this January. It may have been the January before. Time is, it was this year, right? Okay. So that's included in there, just as a reference for you. If anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call, let me know. But I just figured I had a couple of questions. It seemed pertinent. I wanted to also give an update on Region Tech. We terminated that project. We had a termination scheduled. They didn't come, but I still signed all the documents and we are working on having those recorded. So that project is no longer going to be our project. So we're still working through the details of it, but we've made progress on it. And so when Lori gave the overview of the pilots that we've received everything, she left out Region Tech because we have subsequently terminated them because they failed to pay their pilot. Howard, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, that's it.
Okay. So anyone have any questions? We went over 555. July meeting date, like the LDC, I'm suggesting that we move it to the 28th. Gary, I know you won't be able to make it. 28th at 9 a.m.
That's a good Zoom.
You can zoom it, you
You
can't
can
vote.
watch, but you can't participate.
I don't think. Oh,
What?
do you think that will change with the legislature? And
I,
everything
you know,
we've
right
gone
now,
through?
we're back to,
Yeah, I'm just
open meetings
curious.
law prior to February, 16th of 2020. You can set up a Zoom meeting, but every other place that is set up a Zoom meeting, you have to list that in the notice for the public meeting and it has to be open to the public. So if you want to have a Zoom meeting in your hotel room or your house or wherever you're going to be, the IDA has to post it, say that's where it is, and it's got to be open to the public. You can't.
This was Felix's question for his apartment or his condo down in Fort Lauderdale.
So you and Marie would have to host the meeting.
So, for example, if New York State Economic Development Corporation has offices in Albany, New York City, and Buffalo, they don't have one in Rochester. If every now and then they will hold a meeting in Rochester, they use our conference rooms to hold a meeting, and they can broadcast to their other offices, so that way they can comply with the open meetings law. Otherwise, they can't.
So if there's full disclosure, then you could, you're right.
You could, so for example, if you were going to be somewhere where we could say, at the conference room at
Public
Marriott
library.
Hotel or a public library, like if Felix went to the public library in, I don't know where he is, say Boca Raton, and said, conference room D at the Boca Raton Public Library is going to be used as one of the remote sites for Zoom, anybody can attend there.
Well, if this was the remote site, or this is the site that.
No, but if any board member that might be joining by Zoom,
Right,
where they are,
their location.
that location has to be open to the public.
Why is this different now versus the last?
Because the
Right.
governor, in last March of 2020, he gave an executive order under extraordinary powers granted to the legislature, and he rescinded or modified certain statutes. And there were literally hundreds and hundreds of them. One of the things that they very quickly realized was open meeting. No governmental agencies from down to towns and villages up to the state could operate unless it was done in public. Right. You couldn't have in-person meetings. So he suspended or modified, I should say, the open meetings law to allow meetings to be held electronically using Zoom, so long as it was open to the public.
Right.
And didn't have to be, you could be sitting in anywhere you want as long as the public could join. That is now been rescinded, no longer in effect. So we're back to the law in effect on March 13th, 2020, which is.
Is anybody advocating to, change it or add this to some bill in Albany that we can?
There was talk of it. I don't know where it's going to go anywhere.
Is our lobbyist on board with that?
They've been, not that I'm aware of, I was in Albany last week. They're focused on some of the legislation that's going to affect the IDAs, ISLA particularly as it relates to their elected officials. There's a whole host of things that will be before the governor's desk for signing or not, some of which will affect us.
So nobody's on this.
Again, partly is they're trying to get government to reopen. They want to have open.
I get it.
So it may, Eventually, will they change that open meetings law? I think so. I think people saw how effective it was.
Yeah.
But I think right now, the focus is on getting things open and back to normal, so it may take a while.
The next item on the agenda is sponsorship for the New York State EDC Cooperstown Conference. We have historically sponsored this at the diamond rate of $5,000. There's also platinum, 4,000, gold, 3,000, silver, 2,000, bronze, 1,000, patron, 500. So
What did we do last year?
5,000.
5,000.
Is that what you want to do? Or
I-
is that in
yeah,
light
I'm
of
a-
some
I'm-
of the changes that we
no,
made? Are we thinking of something less?
Well, one thing that we could do is split it between the IDA and the LDC, and then it comes with an ad, and we run the ad with both logos. So that would certainly be,
I think we should do that. We'll go back in to the LDC next month and authorize their
That'll
picking up.
complete the
picking up
grant
half of
money
it.
that we have in
But-
LDC. Is that correct?
But if you know, it's hard from where you all sit to see
you
how.
don't
it-
have to have it split 50-50
missed that.
also. I know, I heard you. I heard you.
You're ignoring me. I feel bad.
I have kids. I can ignore anything. I'm just teasing. I did hear you though, but we could split it 1,000, 4,000, just so that it wasn't a 50-50 necessarily.
But the commitment is 5.
The commitment overall is 5,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the only reason to do that is LDC is a smaller fund balance. They can use it for more things. IDA, the larger fund balance, restricts what you can use it for. So.
Yeah.
But it's a very effective organization, and they've got some good lobbying people in there. They
So you're
actually.
saying we could do $1,000 grant to the.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, in.
What's that?
I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's registered?
Fred?
Annette?
Annette, yes.
I
Frank,
pulled,
you
no, I
haven't
pulled back
canceled
because
yours.
I had a conflict with another conference, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't think Jen.
Wait, who's that?
Yeah.
No, I am not.
You're missing.
People would go.
Is it that going? I thought we got
Yes.
Annette's going, yeah. I think right now it's Fred and Annette.
It is a
Who's
good.
going to Montauk?
I am.
Same here. Yeah.
For the
And
whole
Annette.
period?
It's good. That's
I don't
good.
have the agenda didn't come out yet, so.
No, it hasn't, but let me know if you do want me to register you though, because I've asked for the whole.
Well, I thought you
amount.
registered, I think.
I needed you to answer just a couple more questions before I could complete it,
Oh,
so
we'll
we'll
talk
talk
about
about
that before we leave.
That's a good. Let's talk about the grants. How married you are to them.
Probably
So-
should have a resolution
Yes.
for sponsorship to a maximum of $5,000
To be co-sponsored with
to-
the LDC.
to be exactly better worded than mine.
You want the breakdown or?
Not yet.
We'll do the breakdown next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Lenore, you said that.
All in favor?
So,
All right.
And Lenore, if you want to attend either of those conferences, just let us know.
Give me the dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will.
We're actually back-to-back weeks, right?
And normally, the EDC meeting in Cooperstown is the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before Memorial Day. And the LIBDC meeting in Montauk is towards the 3rd or 4th week of September. This year, because of all COVID and everything else, it's actually. I'll tell you-
Cooperstown is September 28th through 30th.
And Montauk's the week before.
Montauk is the,
22nd to the 24th, I think.
yeah, 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
Yep.
And Cooperstown is 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Montauk's probably, in my opinion, the best networking function that we have out here. I mean, these lunches, one of which is today, are good, but Montauk, you really do get a lot done.
when is the Montauk again?
22nd, 23rd,
Oh.
and 24th. So that's
Yep. I got that.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Cooperstown's the following week, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Right,
Thursday.
that's
It's,
fine.
It's just this year.
yeah, like, for example, this year in Montauk, a big focus is going to be renewable energy, which is something this agency is the most involved with of all the agencies.
And we
And maybe
actually,
the state.
Probably the state. Yeah, you probably have closed more deals than anybody else in New York City.
And when we have the luncheon, we're having one of our projects speak today. And we also just put in, Amy just put in nominated us for an award for at the EDC conference for the award was for a project, but we went with a cluster that we actually have 23. We have 23 renewable projects that we've either closed or we've accepted application. They're in process, but we've got a pretty impressive listing of projects, renewable projects that we've supported. Annette is off the call already, otherwise she would have loved to have heard that.
So far, you are the only idea I know of who has closed projects for solar, fuel cells, and battery storage.
Yeah.
We're about to close.
And about to be wind. And about to be wind.
Wind. Yeah, the wind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hot air here, but that's.
Well, Sunrise Wind, we're gonna do the power line where it comes on shore to the LIPA substation. We're not doing the wind turbines.
That'll make Felix happy because he couldn't understand how they're gonna be connected.
But the upstate IDAs have done much more wind projects, and they've been doing them for a long time. You can't drive around anywhere in upstate New York. You see a big hill anywhere upstate New York, you see wind turbines. They have not, other than the ones over here in the town, they have not caught on yet. That's why they're doing them offshore.
Does that 23 number that you mentioned, does that include rooftop solars too?
Yes,
Yeah.
that we
Okay.
supported. We took out anything that was, because there's other rooftop solar projects in the town that we weren't involved with.
Yep.
But that 23 includes like Claire
Claire
Rose,
Rose,
Famerica,
the big one.
Quality King.
Quality King,
Quality
thank you.
But
So-
not Neil didn't do it, did they? That we're aware of?
No.
When Kevin Law was ahead of LIPA, he really pushed putting solar on rooftops.
And Supervisor Romaine has encouraged
And
it.
if you've been to the H. Lee Dennison building, their entire parking lot is covered with solar.
And
We're looking right now, and Lisa and I were talking about this the other day. We have approximately 4 million square feet of development on the table, either in front of the agency or will be in front of the agency within, say, the next 3 to 6 months. So with that said, that's a lot of rooftop that
Well, when
could be
you think
very
about what they're
eligible
building
for
for
rooftop solar.
all those buildings for Winter Brothers
Yeah.
should all, even if they're peak roofs should have solar.
Yeah.
And they'll most likely be flat. They love
Yeah.
those big warehouses, big
Yeah.
boxes.
Like Claire Rose. Right, the whole
Claire Rose,
Project out
Quality
there.
King, yeah, so this agency and this board has certainly supported renewable.
Put it this way, Suffolk
And there's more to
County
come.
IDA just approved their first renewable project.
Their first?
Their preliminary.
Suffolk County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a fuel cell project. And they have another battery storage one coming up. When they've done other projects, they did like, on SUNY Stony Brook campus years ago, in 1993, and we issued tax and bonds to build a cogeneration facility that produces steam that is used to heat and cool the campus and produce electricity. And then we refinanced those bonds in 98, now we're doing modifications to that.
Where did those come before us? Stony Brook. Just out of curiosity.
They went to SUNY, they went
They
to
went
the
to the county.
yeah, and then there was also they did the Huntington Waste Energy Plant. So they have done, those are the only two energy projects they've done. So they will see a whole host of new projects coming in.
I think we're gonna see a lot of
Various, I think because of
combination.
land,
Yeah.
access, Brookhaven was far more receptive or better suited to build those. But SUNY Stony Brook, what's interesting in that one is, electricity is there's always reverse, all these, if you put solar on your roof, it's reverse metering. So if it's producing more power than you need, actually goes back to the grid. SUNY, that system at SUNY can at times put some power back into the grid, not a lot. They use almost all of it. But the real key is after the steam runs the turbines to produce electricity, goes through underground steam lines that are used to either heat the buildings in the winter or goes through evaporators, chills the buildings for, kind of like New York City. Yeah, so in New York City, you have all the underground conduit steam lines. Do the same thing in the Nassau hub over by,
Yes,
the Coliseum.
yes.
There's all those buildings are hooked up to, including Nassau Community College, a steam system for heating and cooling. But, you need concentration of buildings, so.
So
One more item.
just one more item I just want to bring to your attention. There were some news reports yesterday, and I reached out to the company. They're still trying to get a handle on what exactly happened. But there was an accident at one of our projects that's under construction on 112. So I don't really have a lot of information at all, but I just wanted to let you know that we are aware. There's an assisted living under construction on 112, and I believe it was one of the employees was hurt. So yes,
Yes.
Yes.
yes. yes.
Tritech's building it. We don't know whether it was a Tritech employee or
Or
a
a
sub, but he was airlifted to Stony Brook, so it's fairly serious. We've notified our insurance carrier,
Yes. So I
just to be on record.
yep, just wanted to give you a heads up in case you saw the article. So we're aware. Hopefully it'll be okay.
You got anything else?
I don't.
No, you're gonna come back next month?
Yeah, you haven't scared me away yet, but I can't guarantee next month won't be different.
She's gonna come back before next month because I have to catch her up on
That's right.
a whole bunch
I
of
have
stuff.
homework.
There's always
That's right.
homework.
I'll help you with it.
So good.
If there's nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? Wonderful.
Yes.
Josh, you got most of this?
I did. And don't forget, for those of you that are going, we have the luncheon at 12:30.
Yes.
So
Yes.
John. What do you think?